Hi guys, Virginia here and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for today, and this one's for the Kitaholic Kits design team using the gorgeous October kits. I think I do that every time I do a voiceover now. I forget what day it is, but yeah, so I'm using one of the exclusive cut files for this month. We've got some gorgeous feathers and they go perfectly with this kit, and I knew exactly what I wanted to use them for. I do forget a little bit along the way, but eventually I get there. So I'm just going through the 6x8 papers that we've got they came in the pocket page kit, and I'm going to use them to back my feathers with. So I want some really bright colours because I really wanted to bring in some of that wood grain pattern paper and have those feathers like really pop off it. So that's what I'm doing now, just quickly kind of back the feathers with pattern papers, and just kind of using some complementary colours for each of the feathers. So we've got a grey, this gorgeous grey on this one, and I used the really delicate, well, it's not really delicate, it's quite full on pattern paper with the gorgeous little flowers on it, and then the middle one I end up using that really large floral print for the feather with that gorgeous like kind of minty green for the centre of it. And the last one I kind of and I end up deciding on that kind of salmony pink coral colour for the feather, and then a kind of wash of that darker pink through the centre of the feather. So I don't make you watch it all, it's pretty simple, really easy cut files to back because there's only 2 pieces on each of them. And yes, I'm going to go through and finish that. The photo is a really recent one of a wedding we just went to, my cousin's wedding actually, at the same place that my husband and I got married. It was a lovely day, and Eddie and I were all dressed up in pretty dresses, and it's not very often we get to dress up so nice. So this is a little photo of the 2 of us just waiting for the bride and groom to arrive actually. So yeah. Okay, so my cut files are all backed. I have backed one of them with adhesive foam, which I would have shown you. And that one's going to sit kind of in the centre, and I'm just going through the 12 by 12 pattern papers to kind of choose a background. And at first I thought I was going to use the offcut from my previous layout of that wood grain, but I decided it was too small for the layout, so I ended up going for the full one, but that's okay, I can use that other bit on another layout. And I have I was going to say recently, but it wasn't recently, it was quite a wee while ago, done a feather layout before, not for Kitaholic Kits, but just on my normal YouTube channel, and this is kind of like another version of it. I think feathers are really useful, they can always be put on layouts, but yeah, so this is kind of like another version of it. Okay, so I like that wood grain on an angle. I was going to put just white, but then I realised that there was a lot of really gorgeous, kind of really simple pattern papers, and this white background with the black scripty words was just kind of perfect. So I'm going to use that and just kind of stack that wood grain paper on an angle on it, and then I've just added that green, just it's kind of like a little bit of a barrier, a separation between the two. And just for a pop of that green, I love that green, it's absolutely gorgeous. So I've just added a little strip of that, and I didn't quite line it up properly, that branding strip on the wood grain was a little bit too high up, so I'm just moving it and just placing ATG tape on those 2 corners that are going to meet with that black and white cardstock, because I'm going to cut the excess off the back, I'm not going to waste it, but I'm going to flip it over and just cut that wood grain down to size, and then I'll cut the excess of that black and white cardstock, which you'll see in a minute. So I've still got those 2 little triangles of wood grain there that I can tuck onto a layout or something. Yes, I'm just going to pop them aside, and then I can kind of gut that piece behind it and use that on another layout. There we go. Just adding a little bit of glue, make sure it's all adhered down. There we go, quite happy with that. And I'm going to pop my little feathers in place. I like the idea of them just kind of like a large kind of cluster there, and then I've got my photo and I can just kind of tuck that into the left of those feathers. So I'm going to start some layers behind my photos. My first one's going to be vellum. I love vellum and wood grain, it's just a gorgeous combination. So I'm just cutting that down, just a really thin border, just adds so much softness to it. I feel like wood grain has a really masculine feel, but that vellum really softens it up and adds a feminine touch. I'm just going to add a few more patterns behind those photos. So bringing in some of that green. And I did want to bring in some of those florals, but it didn't quite fit, so I thought like this would be a good kind of solution to using this. I love the colours in it, but the pattern is a bit, yeah. So I feel like that's a great use for it. You can see those colours kind of peeking out behind the photos. But without seeing a whole of the photo, I apologise for the noises. I have two. I've got Eddie, who's normally here, but she's pretty good with voiceovers. But we've got my niece here as well. She doesn't quite get that you need to be a little bit quiet while Auntie Jenny does voiceovers. But never mind. Okay, so from one of those 12 by 12 colour part sheets, I've cut that gorgeous kind of salmon pink pattern. I wanted to bring a bit more of that colour onto the paper, again to add that feminine touch to that wood grain and repeat that colour that's in the feather. I'm also going to fussy cut out some butterflies and add them to the layout as well. So we've got some of those really large ones from one of those 12 by 12 cut apart sheets, and then a few from the little 6 by 8 paper pad as well. And I cut way too many, but that's okay. I just popped them in with the die cuts because at this point I've still forgotten about the feathers that are in the die cuts that I wanted to bring in. So I tried to add a whole bunch of other stuff and realised that I wasn't actually using the pieces that I wanted to use. So yeah. Okay, so there's a little bit of dimension in those feathers, so I'm just popping up the left hand side of that photo with foam so that it's in line, and I'm just going to start kind of sifting through the die cuts that we've got. I love those tassels. I really love the idea of them, and I thought about stacking some just kind of hanging down from I guess the feathers in the photo, just to add that kind of more of a feel of movement to the page, but they don't sadly end up making it onto this layout. I do try the bows as well, but again they didn't make it. They were a little bit too cumbersome for my liking, so everything's moving a little bit too much. It's driving me nuts, so I'm going to glue those feathers down. I know they're going to go there, they're not going to move, so I'm just going to pop them in place. So just kind of stacking the tops of them so that they all kind of meet nicely at the top, and layering them on top of each other, and then my photo just kind of sits nicely in that spot with that top feather. Happy with that. Okay, again trying those tassels, and I really like the idea of bringing in some flowers, but that large one at the top was a bit big, so it does end up coming off the page. Still toying with those tassels. I thought about tying some gold thread or twine around the feather, but to kind of hang those tassels off, but yeah, I remembered the feathers. Okay, so here comes some more flowers. Still just kind of toying with the idea of these. Still obviously haven't remembered that I want to use those feathers. We'll get there eventually. So just kind of trying to find some flowers to make clusters with, and then I realised, hey, there's feathers. So I popped them out to the side, and I'm just going to add a few things around that left hand side of the photo. So we've got a little pink tag that's got photo gallery. It had something else, but I just kind of tucked it underneath so that you could just see that word photo gallery. I do pop this label in there, but I end up taking it off. The black, I was feeling like it was a little bit too harsh. Here come the feathers finally, so I've just kind of stacked them so that they kind of feel like they're floating out from that little bundle of feathers. And I try the gold thread, and I give up pretty quickly on that. So I'm happy with this stuff. I'm going to glue down my photo and this little ticket as well. I find this gorgeous little green sentiment that says the best things in life are free. So I'm just going to pop that to the side. I'll pop it down the bottom of my layout. Just until I'm ready to kind of commit. I'm going to glue down my photo with some tape. And I find another grey little a die cut piece as well, and it's got a lot of numbers and it says every day, but I've just kind of strategically placed it in there so that the parts of it that I want to be seen will show. Goes that little green label that gets taken off. Just going to adhere down my feathers. I'm quite happy with them there, so that one's going to go up on some foam. These ones I'm just going to glue down in the centre, kind of like you would a butterfly, and then I'm bending them so they've got a bit of that lift off the page, so again that feeling of movement. I'm going to do the same. I apologise for the squealing. Gil's playing with the dog. And I just did the same with that pink and orange feather as well, just kind of bent it like you would butterfly wings for that feeling of movement. I am going to add some flowers up this top little portion of the feathers just to kind of combine it all together, make that area feel a little bit more finished, because I had tried twine, which I felt like probably would have felt like a finishing point, but that didn't make it. So I think a lovely little cluster of florals will go nicely up there, so I'm just layering them up kind of with each layer of those feathers as well, and I'm really happy with how that looks in the end. A couple of those butterflies I'm just trying around the layout now. Yeah, just kind of scattering them around. I end up adding way too much and I just kind of sit them there for a little bit, and I actually end up walking away from the layout, and then I come back and kind of take a few off. Here we go, I'm back now. Let's fine tune those butterflies. Just move that little floral down a bit, shuffle some of them around a little bit. Kind of an even dispersion of colour as well around the page. And I do try those acrylic hearts, but they don't end up making it onto the page. I wanted something little. At this point I was feeling like I just wanted some really nice little delicate pops of something on the layout, and those hearts weren't quite doing it. They are delicate, but they're a little bit big, so I'm going to add this little green sticker. I'm going to layer up a couple of other little smaller ones just directly underneath it. Give that falling feeling again, that sense of movement within those labels. So I'm just kind of stacking them on angles below each other, below the photo. And this last one's going to be popped up on some foam. So just adding that down there. Okay, I haven't committed to it yet. Just deciding if I like it. And now I'm thinking I need a title. Apologise for the dog. Yeah, I can't do much about it, sorry. And that black was a little bit too harsh, and I thought I might use the gold thickers. But yeah, in the end, I kind of decide that it doesn't need a title. I felt like the black was a little bit too harsh. The gold just wasn't kind of in keeping with the rest of the layout. If I added a gold title, I felt like I would need to add gold elsewhere on the layout. So I'm just going with one of those little sentiments that I've stacked down there as my title. I don't think you necessarily have to have a huge title on your layout. I think that a nice little sentiment works just as well. I really do apologise for the kids and the dog. Yeah. So to kind of accommodate that need for just some softness on that wood grain, I've added some white Liquitex acrylic ink splatters all over that wood grain background. I'm just coming in with some white and pink and green enamel dots, just scattered around there as well. And here I do try the gold thickers. I was going to add Beautiful You as my title. And you can see I'm trying to fit you down there, and then I do start spelling out beautiful at the top, but yeah, like I said, it just wasn't working for me. So lastly, I'm going to add a healthy sprinkling of some clear iridescent sequins in a few various sizes, and just kind of scatter them around where those enamel dots are, and kind of over those feathers as well. They're not adding a colourful touch, which is not what I wanted. I just wanted something to kind of catch your eye, and I think that really suffices. So they're not from the kit, they're just from my stash, but sequins are things that most people have on their layout. So after that, that's pretty much of my layout. I hope you enjoyed the process. I apologise for the dogs and the kids. But yeah, until next time, bye guys.